Hi, we're back live and it's my Snappy Chats on Wednesdays. I'm super excited to be here again. I'm Kristine Bell. I'm a customer strategist. I help people really get clear on who their ideal customers are and align their unique value proposition, their competitive edge with what their clients really want so we can be in alignment. So that's what I'm all about. I'm not going to talk more about myself because this is all about learning and growing in business. And this is why I started these live chats. It's all about small business owners to come together because we can learn and grow with each other. It can get really lonely in business. I've been in business for 8-9 years now. And being a one-man band, it can get really, really lonely. So what I've found is if we can come together as a community and build relationships, not always just for sales, but to actually work together, collaborate and co-create, life gets much easier in business, especially when we have the ups and downs, and we all have them. So this is what it's all about. I'm super excited to have another fantastic Snappy Chat where we're going to learn and grow together with Chason's Forehand. He's an amazing guy. I met him through the Hounds of Business, which is a fantastic community that is run by Mark Ashenbrown. If you don't know him, feel free to connect with him. I don't know if he's here in the comments yet. I'm sure he will be soon. Maybe we'll see. But regardless, come together. And Chason is amazing. He's all about helping people in terms of equality, in terms of what's called wages, in terms of bringing back humanity to HR and to companies. So I'll bring him on. He's an amazing guy. So let me bring him on now because he can introduce himself much better than I can. Thank you, Chason. I just
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show. And I've caught several of your shows. I really appreciate it. And I love the introduction because you're absolutely right. And we didn't even talk about this, but the funny thing is that when I created my HR business back in 2012, which was the first time I took a client that wasn't part of my family or friends, my hashtag was keep the human in HR. So that was that has been my overlying, theme in that business. And it is so true. I am a recovering broken human. I was and have been clean for 33 years. I was a drug addict. I was homeless. I put myself in that position because I didn't deal with trauma that I had previously in my life. And all of my family's in the fashion industry, and I'm the one who went in the culinary world. And surprisingly, you hear all of these things about what a fast lifestyle the culinary world is, but the culinary world helped save me. And it gave me purpose and direction and helped me get out of some of the dark places. And I became that person that they went to hire and to have courageous conversations with people and to train. And that grew into me finding out what HR was. And so I fell into human resources by accident. And that has led me all the way up to 2022, where we started our own nonprofit to address issues with food insecurity, poverty, homelessness by directing our attention to leaders and letting them understand the tremendous value of pouring into people and paying them a living wage so they can take care of themselves and take care of their families. And then we can solve some of these socioeconomic issues that are happening in the United States and even abroad. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
I love who you are and your story and your background and how you've grown in yourself. That is a huge, huge transformation. And I wholeheartedly agree with you in terms of if we can allow people to have opportunities to actually find within themselves something they're good at, something they can contribute with, not only are they going to be able to make a living, and we do need to bring sure that the wage is at a place where they can make a living, but it also brings back self-esteem. It brings back feeling good in yourself. And I love that you talked about the culinary environment because it is known to be a rat race in terms of how far can you go, and you hear a lot about people being on drugs there. But my husband actually is also became a chef after 9/11 because he was unfortunately in 9/11 or experienced it close up, and after that he couldn't sit still. I hope he doesn't mind. He's listening in the background. PTSD, so he couldn't sit still. And the culinary world actually gave him an opportunity to be busy, express himself creatively, and be of value. And since that, obviously coming to Australia, he came from the US, but coming to Australia, he's obviously changed the environment because you can burn out in the culinary world too, because
Yep.
it is hardcore work. Yeah, that is hardcore
Yep.
work. And anyway, so I love your story from how, you know, you were broken, but you found yourself, you found your self-esteem, and it's led you to actually build a business, which is in itself, I never knew this. I'll tell you about my story. When I had burnout, I left my job, didn't know what was going on. And I did not know that starting business was starting my personal development journey. And it sounds to me that you started your personal development journey and somehow that grew into a business. So it's still interlinked.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You can't separate the two. You know, when people talk about work-life balance, you're the same human. You should be the same human, and you should be at a place of work where you can show up authentically to be the person you are, to learn, to grow, to thrive, to fail forward, to make mistakes, to stub your nose and your knees, and be that kind of person that other people want to follow and that want to work with. And so, yeah, I believe that we develop who we are as a person, as a human being, and that just transcends into what we do in our work.
And the more those two align, the more we're going to be able to truly show up authentically, like you say, because, you know, the word authentic is kind of like a word that gets thrown around a lot, but it really is about really stepping into who we truly are, acknowledging who we are, knowing what our talents are, what gives us joy, what we have passion for, because I believe once we have that, then we're going to add a lot more value to what we do. We're going to be more committed to what we do, because you quite enjoyed culinary, even though you moved out of it. I'm sure you enjoyed it for a while. So there's something that different jobs can give us, isn't there, in terms of growing in ourselves. And really, if we're in a good place and a good team with kind people that obviously wants to succeed, but also bring the best out of us, then we're going to be of most value to everyone else. And most importantly, we're going to feel good doing it. Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, I completely agree with you, but the funny thing is, the culinary piece has kind of stayed with me this whole time period. You know, it's like I can't escape it. It's like what the Godfather 3 or whatever. It's like it sucked me back in, you know, but it really has been something that, you know, as we build the nonprofit, we're building a transformation kitchen to teach underserved communities culinary knowledge, power skills, life skills. And so, you know, here I keep going back to that time period and those things that we do, because I love it. I love it.
I love that. And just before we continue to talk, we got AJ in there. We've got Mike Asherbrunner. A big shout out to Mike and the Hounds of Business. We've got Melissa here, and I can't see everyone else, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
In fact, what are you saying? This thing around, and this is probably something that I imagine when you tell us a little bit more in terms of this, but this thing around building skills, helping people who haven't had opportunity to build skills, it's so important in terms of developing self-worth, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, the real problem, the crux of where we are is that we have so many prejudices and biases in the United States, for sure. I'm just going to speak to United States, but we have so many biases. We have so many predetermined judgments that we put on people. And that's why we have 1/3 of the United States that makes below a living wage, and 50% of my state of New York makes below a living wage. And in the area that I live, there's a 30% of the people are at or below the poverty line. Yeah. So how do we fix those things? How do we help people help themselves? How do we empower people to get out of the system, to want to do better, because when you talk to most people, they want to be out. They want to thrive. They want to have the ability to take care of themselves and take care of their family members. That's a sense of pride that comes with that. Yeah. So when you offer that opportunity for free, hey, we're going to teach these skills to you. Our partners are going to come in. We're not just talking about just culinary and the certifications you'll get out of this, but you're also going to learn, you're like, how do I balance a budget? How do I write a resume? How do I do these things that I need in life?
Yeah, like real life skills. Yeah, I'm not saying school isn't great, but sometimes school doesn't teach us real life skills. And not everyone is meant to be an attorney and be very academic. A lot of us humans come into Earth and we have real practical skills and talents. And sometimes I don't know about you, I feel that maybe in the Western world, we are undervaluing how important those skills are, and that some people are born to be doing things with their hands, or, being creative, or doing skills like, tech, like in terms of quite, building cars or whatever, like practical skills.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ask me if I was be willing to go back to a time where I was a farmer and I traded what I farmed to the baker to get stuff from him to trade to do, and it was that type of commerce, but we were all working together as a community, I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
I would absolutely. I would do it in a heartbeat.
I think some of us are dreaming of that a little bit. I'm not saying money isn't great. I'm not taking away the benefits of that. But this idea that we can go back to supporting each other in the community, that we all have value to bring as human beings, and that we all have we're all unique, we all have special skills. And if we can, people, I think, we feel lost if we're just sitting back. And that's why I love what you're doing, because you're going into areas and helping people who want to give, who want to be better, who wants to do something, for others and for themselves. So I love that.
Well, it really, for me, is cathartic. I don't feel like I'm coming in as some white savior. I feel like I'm coming in and I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm developing just as much as they are. And that really, for me, is powerful. I think I love when Einstein said that you're either constantly learning or you're dying. But when you take knowledge and you only have knowledge and you don't put action behind it, there's no power. Yeah. So there's huge power in combining those two things.
Yeah, and together with a purpose as well, it becomes even more powerful. And by the way, Mike would like to take extra money if no one wants them. Fair enough. So in terms of these Snappy Chats, I ask about what's the challenge you faced in business. So we might already covered it, but is there a specific challenge you feel we can all learn from today?
Well, I'll tell you, when you asked me the question before we started, I immediately thought of things that I faced as I was building my HR company and things that I face every day in the nonprofit. And that's the biggest challenge is between these two ears. It is that voice inside my head from my past and from my trauma and from my baggage that tells me I'm unworthy and that I'm not enough, and that I'm incapable and that I can't. And I think too many times that challenge, even for people that are wildly successful by standards of wealth and how they look and their lifestyle, success is very different to every single person. Yeah. But for me, knowing what I want to achieve and knowing what's important to me in my life at this phase of my life, it's really important for me to get out of that mindset and to constantly be reminding myself that I am worthy and that I am capable and that I can do. So I know a lot of people that face this challenge, the challenges of that inner voice or the voices of other people and the naysayers telling them what they can and cannot do. And I think that is a killer for a lot of businesses and a lot of people that want to start or are in the middle of starting their business, is getting past that mindset and being in a mindset that you can absolutely do.
I am 100% with you. And it's been one of my biggest challenges. From obviously we have different backgrounds, different childhoods, but low self-esteem comes in different ways for different people. And I've been one of those. It's been one of my biggest challenges. And it's where the self-saboteur comes in sometimes, because I see all these amazing things coming at me and then I can shut down and go, oh no. And it's that critical inner voice that I've really had to work on in the last few years, and recognizing and hearing it when it comes up, because it can be very subtle the way it speaks to us internally, and really noticing it and seeing how it's judging and how critical it is. And then flipping it on the other side to start making it my most supportive voice ever. So I become the one who supports me the most, not anyone else. Because with low self-esteem, often, not saying for you, we tend to look for validation outside ourselves, which is a dead killer in business. Yeah, because no one, it's about us believing ourselves first and foremost. If we want to attract clients in, business in, we really have to believe in ourselves first, because if we don't believe in what we do and the value we bring, how's anyone else going to believe in it? There's an energetic exchange, and it can be subtle, but it's there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 1000%. You know, the only thing I'd add to that is, you know, when this is just speaking from a place of being addicted to anything, no matter where your addiction comes from, those addictions follow you, and you may tackle one piece of it and it reforms itself in another way because you have an addictive personality. So being able to take that demon and turn it into something that is positive, focus all your attention, your energy and take it from a place of negativity and beating you down and telling you those stories to being a place that it fuels you to drive your purpose and be the person that you want to be. And that to me was the longest journey, was the hardest thing to get a hold of, get that tiger by the tail and move forward.
Yeah. So I love what you're saying. And for me, it has definitely been a journey as well. So for anyone who at the moment are listening in, or for the replay are listening in, and they recognize that this is still going on in their mind a lot, what would be your advice for that in terms of how you got there? And I recognize it's a long journey. It's not an overnight fix for most of us.
I think the first thing you have to do is really sit down and take a look at who you are and be okay with that person staring back at you in the mirror. And if you are not well, and in that, and I mean that in a holistic sense, like every part of your health and your mental state, if you're not okay with that person staring back at you in the mirror, then that's the first place you've got to start. And once you start there, once you accept who you are, and you accept that you've had things happen, but that can't control you, and that can't be something that makes you be what you could be, you're going to be that mindset. I love James Valentine. He talks about this a lot as well, and about how you take that mindset and make it positive and get into a space where you are seeing the finish line, you're seeing what you want to do, and you're moving in that direction. But it starts with that journey of being okay with who you are.
Yeah, I totally hear you. It is about becoming okay with ourselves and seeing all of our past in a way where we stop judging it so much and see it more as it was possibly as hard as it was, it's taking me to where we are now. So finding the good in the difficult moments, even though it can be quite difficult to see that, I think it's a very important part of it. And I also think, don't be afraid to get help.
Absolutely.
Like, this is really hard. Don't think it's something you can just easily do on your own, because it is not that easy to really sit with ourselves. And sometimes we have made up stories about the past. It's not necessarily, we added another layer to it than actually seeing it for what it was. Yeah. And sometimes we need someone else to just go, hold on, let me just play it back to you so you can see it from the lens of an adult versus the child that was deeply wounded by it.
Yep. No, it's a great restructuring and reframing, because sometimes you've got to go backwards to see forwards. Sometimes you've got to realize where you were truly to see where you need to go to make those changes happen. And that's true.
And absolutely. And also being able to see where you have moved forward. Yeah. Because otherwise, for me, I've noticed suddenly I'm still back in the victimhood. I'm like, but I'm not a victim now. I'm not a 5-year-old anymore. I am powerful in who I am. But do I believe it? And that's the journey I'm on right now. It's that thing. Do I truly believe in how amazing I am?
I think part of that, to me, that's almost like some of the next steps is celebrating those small victories, really each and every day. And I practice in the morning with meditation and journaling and praying. And I do the same in the evening. And I do it with my wife, who has been my partner for 25 years. And I will say that the biggest thing for me is being able to look at all of those small victories, cheer every single one of them, and realize that there's progress. And that means the world.
I love that. And how do you bring that into the work you do? Because I'm very certain that this is exactly part of what you probably are doing with people that you go in and help and build skills with as well, yeah?
Well, the first thing I do is I realize there are a lot of people that are smarter than me. So I find I find people that are smarter than this old hockey dude, and I bring them in to help others. And I think it's recognizing your strengths and weaknesses and recognizing what you can do and what you can't do. What
Yeah.
I'm good at is bringing the people together to understand the vision, the mission, the purpose,
Yeah.
and getting them excited about that and wanting to be part of it. And then overseeing how that happens, so that as a person who was in those shoes, where I was somebody that needed the help at that time, and I still need a lot of help, what does that look like, and how can we help the most people? So
I
that for
love
me
that.
is
I love that, because really what we want with our purpose is we want to bring other people into it so they believe in it too, because together we can grow further, correct?
absolutely, absolutely. It's, you know what it's all about. And I talk to Mike about this a lot. I talk up to the other hounds about this. We're talking about it now, but collaboration and being together with like-minded people that want to lift each other up, that want to celebrate what you're doing and want to help you through the process and cheer you on and pick you up when you stumble, and be part of your journey, and that care about you authentically and genuinely. That is gold. It's gold.
Totally. And I believe energetically, I believe we live in an energetic world and we're energetic beings. And the more we lift each other's up, it's not just about, the practicalities of working together and collaborating. That's obviously awesome. But I think by actually bringing community together, it's behind the purpose behind each other. Energetically, what we are bringing through there is what's really powerful, because it's adding that excitement, that energy to it that will, what do you say, pull it forward, make it bigger, make it grow. Energetic growth, which is like what we're looking for. And it's beyond what we can physically do to grow. It's actually what the energy of the world does, because we're moving towards a space where it's more about working together, growing together. And it's through love, it's through compassion, it's through co-creation. And for me, that is what taking my personal journey took me on a spiritual journey I didn't see coming. But for me, that's where the real gold it is. It's like we're actually here to create good. And most people are good in this world if we give them a chance to step up in who they really are.
Bravo. I love that. That's fantastic. You need to have like a button where you can just cheer yourself.
We should all have a button where we cheer ourselves.
We
Yeah. And I
cheer
don't mean
ourselves.
that in an egoistic way. I mean it in
No.
terms of really seeing, because we can, work with me and we can talk about, with people, what is their unique value proposition, but they got to believe it. They got to see their uniqueness. They got to see how amazing they are.
Yeah. You have to get to a place. You have to be to a place where you want help and you recognize you need help and you're doing what you have to move forward. Because if you don't believe you need help, or you don't believe that you can be helped, or you're not in a space to see that gold you were just talking about, you're not going to move forward. You're going to be stuck.
And that is true for even people who may not have had the worst of backgrounds or the difficulties. It's for every one of us. We often have been taught to not value ourselves enough, to not love ourselves enough, and to not see what we bring to the table. But I don't mean that in an egotistic way. But if we can learn to really appreciate ourselves, we will also appreciate other people more for what they're bringing, I believe.
Absolutely.
I love this.
Just do it. Mike says, I just caught out of the corner of my eye. Mike saying, just do it.
Yeah, just do it, Mike. Just do it. There's some fantastic comments here. So I love everyone who's participating. Mike says, just take the baby step, have courage before confidence. And I agree with that. Sometimes you need courage to step away from what you know.
Yeah, I will look. I 1,000% agree with you, Mike. 2023 for us as an organization was all about taking those steps through doors we had no business opening, that they opened for us, and we were walking through them blindly, not knowing what the next step would be, but knowing that we needed to take those steps. We needed to reach out. We needed to do the work that we were doing and put some fine points on some of the programs that we had. and make some changes happen. And it has been fantastic, but it's scary. It's not linear. It's not something that you can just plan for and say it's always going to be like this. There are ups and downs. There are things that happen, and you've got to be ready for it, but you've got to just do it.
Love that. And we'll finish on that note because that's a beautiful place to finish. Now, before we finish, how can people reach out to you? What events do you have coming up? And I know you do things for charity as well, so feel free to tell us all about it now before we finish.
Well, the biggest thing that we have is from March 24th through March 30th. We have what we're calling March for Good, which is a virtual race that you can sign up for free. Normally, it's anywhere from $30 to $50 to sign up on these virtual races. And that money doesn't go to charity. It goes to the administrative costs. But we got a sponsor to pay for what we're doing. So Beyond the Horizon Consulting and Dustin Dale paid. So we can sign you up. We'll get you the code to where you can become a racer. You give people your tag, they can support you. And then that goes to supporting Transformation Kitchen so that this October we can open the doors and start helping our first 5 students and the 60 plus students that will go through this program per year. So thank you for that opportunity.
I love that. That is such an amazing thing to support. So please put it in the comments afterwards so people can easily find it, and also make sure that anything else that they can find you, your organization and everything you're about. Please put it in the comments so everyone can see. I appreciate that. So thank you so much for your time. Any last thoughts before we finish?
Just thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate your energy, and I appreciate being on Snappy Chat.
Oh, thank you so much for making that great. We need people like you to make it great. I can't do it on my own, so I appreciate you taking time out to talk to me. So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone from the Hounds and everyone else outside the Hounds who are here today listening in now or later. We appreciate your time.